For everyone out there, we always believe resting, thinking, we're doing a lot of things with our brains. And sometimes it can be very tough to actually let it reset, reflect, and then do better. And today we have amazing scientists and neuroscientists and former psychotherapists here with us, Ariel, who is the co-founder of Muse. And we're going to dive a little bit deeper in how you as the individual clinicians, scientists be able to truly stand out despite some of us didn't come from business background to be able to raise the fund, gain the support and leverage the large community to be able to push forward the healthcare solution that you believe that can truly change the world and the individual community that you get involved with. Before we get started, let's have a quick intro.
Welcome to Health Tech Growth, the weekly podcast for healthcare founders and innovators, where we explore essential strategies to create successful and sustainable healthcare startups that improve patient outcomes and transform the healthcare industry.
Hi, Ariel. I know you are someone definitely is looking up to for a person that's standing out, right? Able to secure $18 million funding for Muse and then be speaking at really major news outlets about your technology. And now we have hundreds and thousands of clinicians really using this worldwide. And Muse has been recognized for over 200 academic publications. So it's very exciting to be in the space of women-led companies in STEM with a healthcare background and as a global speaker, individual who contribute to the mental wellness and empowering others to reach their full potential. So tell us a little bit more about at what point did you find out, wow, this is a specific area I really see not enough people are knowing about it, doing something about it, and it's my time to do it despite all the question marks behind our, on the back of our head.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sabrina. So for me, it's been an incredibly long journey. I started 20 years ago in a research lab with brain-computer interface technology. And from there, we had a technology that was in search of the solution. You know, we have this great thing, a clinical grade EEG that's slim and sleek and easy to wear. We can just slip it on and track your brainwave activity, but what good is that actually going to be for the world? And so it took about a decade of us coming to market to figure out what the best use of this technology was. And the first best use case we actually came up with was meditation. And at that point, this was around 2012, that we're like, okay, this thing is going to help you meditate. It'll give you real-time feedback on your brain. You'll know if you're doing it right. It's going to change the world. At that point, Silicon Valley kind of laughed at us because this was before the meditation trend. And then bit by bit, we gained traction. You know, people were using us to meditate. Our first meditation study started in 2015 with the Mayo Clinic using Muse for breast cancer patients awaiting surgery, demonstrating that using Muse improved their outcomes. Then Mayo started to do more and more studies. They now have about 11 studies in process using Muse. And from there, this very long path, we sort of kept moving both into the consumer market and into the clinical market. And then the sort of big aha came when we added sleep functionality. So once you have a clinical grade EEG on your head, you can track people's brain health. You can track their meditation, you can track their sleep. And that really opened up the clinical space because now we had a tool that we could offer to clinicians to use with their patients to really gather all of this data that you typically would have to, write a requisition for an EEG and have somebody interpret. Now we could just have clinicians actually do it in their own office or send a device home with their patients to track their brain activity, their sleep, and do interventions like meditation. So, it was a lot of really, really working between what the technology could do, what the patient needed, how we enter the clinical systems to finally get here. You are on mute.
So when we're coming out with a new technology, I almost always feel like we're the unicorn in a bunch. And we want it to be shine. We really want to show people what we can do until people start saying yes, right? With Mayo Clinic really adapting and be able to say, hey, let's use with our cancer patients. Let's see how they do it. And then with these additional apps, and becomes much more of a supportive of the trend of what mental health means. And it's not just book your therapy session, and it could be something much more easier to do in a more of self-controlled environment, right? Was you guys have the measurements, and once that got started, what did you see is one of the biggest thing you guys have say, hey, let's celebrate that, right? And I think sometimes as we build companies, we don't even see all the amazing things we deserve to celebrate. We're just trying to see what's the next point of goal that we wanted to go for.
It's very true. The journey is so crazy that it's difficult to take time to celebrate it, because somebody's always pushing you to do more, get into more systems, make more money, pay your staff, all of these things you need to do. So points of celebration, one was probably when we reached 500,000 people who had used Muse to either improve their meditation, track their sleep, improve their sleep, or improve their brain health. So, that was quite a validation point when we, up until that point, we'd been getting emails from patients and consumers telling us that it would have improved their life, emails from clinicians, but it wasn't until you stand back and say, oh my God, we've impacted 500,000 people with this technology, that it really, the penny drops. And then the other exciting point, actually, I'm going to say it's going to be like today. So we're going live with a new feature called Alpha Peak Frequency. And my team's been working on for a long time. So we have, after all these years, we have one of the largest databases of brain data in the world. I guess that's something else to celebrate. And that has allowed us to look at the brain data with our research partners. We have, dozens and dozens of labs that use Muse as a research tool, not just as a clinical intervention. And so we've been able to look into the data and correlate markers of brain age. We had an awesome paper that recently came out on that. And one of the markers of brain age is alpha peak frequency. So today, we're launching in our app and in our platform the ability to track your and your patient's brain health using this alpha peak frequency measure.
Awesome. Yes. Yes, like biggest data point, right? And then this new ability is get adapted. Now, when you were pushing through the technology, initially asking for help, I think all of us sometimes get rejected a lot, but we're able just to push through. So how were you able to get to the significant funding that you were able to secure to actually demonstrate your value and keep going?
Yes, it's a challenge, and you really have to be persistent. And the key is to listen to the no's insofar as you can learn something from them, but don't be put off by it. So every no is an opportunity to say, okay, why didn't that work? What needs to change? Why wasn't there a good fit here? And then listen to the yeses. And if you're getting a lot more no's than yeses, then maybe you've got an issue. But if, in our case, we're getting a lot of yeses, people saying, yes, this is awesome. Yes, we want to do this. We get a lot of no, we don't want to fund this because you don't know the proof points yet. And so then we had to go out and bootstrap to create the proof points, to create the traction, to get people moving behind it. And one of the ways that we really did that was by engaging the clinicians themselves in the process of using the tools. So it turned out that a lot of clinicians loved using Muse to meditate with, and then that could be our gateway to then having them use it with their patients. And it was really successful. With Mayo, one of the big proof points is they did a study with their own doctors demonstrating that using Muse with their doctors in the emergency room and their healthcare professionals decreased burnout by 54% and improved cognition and reduced stress. So from there, Hoag Hospital said, wow, that's amazing. Can we do this with our own clinicians? And they have 300 or 400 devices that they've purchased for their doctors to use it to reduce burnout and stress. And then from there, that's really allowed us to have the doctors then bring it to their patients and recommend it because it's been so powerful for them. So, it really is a game of creatively figuring out the places where you're getting traction and following that traction, and then working through it while not being discouraged by the no's. Because it's very hard to get into a patient population initially, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. It just means you have to find the right pathway.
Correct. For me, when I talk at my TEDx, there's 3 mental barriers, right? Like the gatekeepers. And number 1 is the mental mode, means we can't get ourselves discouraged. Just because someone says no, that doesn't really mean permanent no. It just no right now. And so for you guys, it's finding out the right channel, the right partners, doing these smaller trials to demonstrate the value, right? And then for some people is that as people getting higher level funding, you need to show your revenue as well, right? It's somewhat profitable, and there's can be, whether for you guys, it can be insurance backed versus employee backed, right? Like there's so many different channels and models to demonstrate it's not just beneficial, but you can sustain yourself, right? Because no matter whatever company they come to, if we don't know how to continue to grow and sustain it, we're constantly asking for funding, then they are hesitated to see what does that really mean, right? So you guys are definitely able to break down what other people tell you cannot be, and then you start what I call them bypassing the gatekeepers, the city watch, right? Like the people that's like kind of blocking us from moving forward. So these are amazing realization. And just to say, persistent is not just persistent; they're intentional when you do put in the effort. And that also, I always love this fun question. If we gave you a magic wand to grant your 3 wishes, what would you use the wand for?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. Okay, so realistic or unrealistic? I mean, number 1 would be world peace. And by world peace, what I really mean is helping people understand that the motivations and drives that they have inside themselves to be mean to other people, to grab land, to want to prove that they're right. All of these things are really not helpful as we try to live in a society that works together. So, if I could wave a magic wand and have one wish, it would be world peace. But the breaking down of that is really the ability to help people self-recognize their struggles, their angers, their internal drives that don't serve the larger society, and be able to self-modulate. So, I mean, that's where creating a tool that helps people meditate, that helps people reduce their stress, that helps people improve their performance in positive ways, really came to being. So I kind of feel like I don't need any more wishes than that. Yes, curing disease, I guess, would be wish number 2. The other way to reduce people's suffering. So in wish number 1, we reduce their mental suffering. In wish number 2, we reduce their physical suffering. And then wish number 3, it's whatever you want. It's all gravy from there.
Right? Yeah. And then especially for you, you're someone who really care about the goals and accomplishing and seeing all these amazing possibility. And so pretty much for you is you're giving number 3 to everybody else who can be creative and join you in that journey. And then I know for us, it's all about having the right collaboration, the right support in our corner. And so we always love to say, if you consider us as your amazing board advisor that has every single expert that you ever want, what would be one ask? What would be something that would be super helpful to solve for you right now?
Oh, sure. I mean, our solve right now is expanding our market and getting more clinicians to know about the amazing tools that they have and how they can benefit both the clinicians as well as the patients that they serve. And so, if I one ask, it's how do we get the word out?
Yes. And I think many people, no matter what stage you're at, right, it's about getting the word out with the right people. Because at the end of the day, we can only talk to so many people, whether you have a full team or it's just one or two people that's the really top of the company. So it's be intentional on what to say, where to say, and how to connect. And for you guys, one of your asks is getting more clinicians right on board to actually see the value, use it, and then also populate and share the amazing idea. So we so appreciate you for all the amazing things you have been done so far, right? Really leveraging some of the larger hospital, prove the point and showcase that's super duplicatable for other clinicians out there. And we just can't wait to see all the other amazing things that you are going to do as we go forward. Any last word on how people can best connect with you? What was the best way for people to say, hey, let me learn more about you?
Sure. So you can reach out to me directly at researchpartners@choosemuse.com, researchpartners @choosemuse.com, or you can visit the website musehealth.ai, musehealth.ai, or find us on the socials at Choose Muse.
Amazing. Appreciate your time. Until next time, everyone, we are always having amazing conversations with investors and founders who has achieved a certain level of success. And then we wanted to be there to share them with you because no matter what, building a company is difficult and funding is even tougher. And sometimes it does feel like we're talking to hundreds of investors and you get one or two yeses. But those are meaningful ones. So when you are actually understand how to separate yourself from the crowd besides that pitch deck, you will be much more prepared and happier as you move forward. So until next time, if anyone needs support, feel free to drop your comment below.
Thank you for listening to Health Tech Growth. If you're a healthcare tech innovator or founder interested in being a featured guest on our show, visit healthtechgrowth.io to learn more.